For China, it's a bit more complicated than that, but the Chinese people are quite nervous. During Trump's first presidency, he set out a slow and deliberate bleed to the Chinese economy, which was perpetuated by Joe Biden, and it's looking like Trump may increase this trade war with massive tariffs. He enacted an average of 15 to 20% of tariffs on about $400 to $500 billion of Chinese goods, which was a devastating blow for them. Now Trump is suggesting up to 60% tariffs for the entirety of Chinese imports. While it can total up to an extra $2,000 a year for the average American household, it's going to be much more detrimental to every Chinese person, including Chinese manufacturers. But China's economy has shifted quite a bit since Trump first enacted this trade war. In response to those initial tariffs, Chinese factories moved to Southeast Asia, Latin America, most notably Mexico. China has also strengthened its trading relationships with the other BRICS nations like Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and a dozen other countries. But it's not enough, especially because China's economy is still quite unhealthy. They are still facing deflation on their consumer and their producer end. Healthy consumer inflation rate is right here at 2%. Anything below that, it becomes a bit questionable. Well, China went into negative territory and they're barely above zero. That is not encouraging. That's exacerbated by the fact that they are still going through a real estate bubble in which about $23 trillion in local debt alone burst, and this is an $18 trillion economy. Their manufacturers have grossly overproduced, their inventories are full, and they have been trying to flood Western markets with their goods, but they've been blocked by massive tariffs from all ends. When Trump first launched the trade war, they were responsible for about 12%, but now China produces 17% of all global exports, meaning that they are even more sensitive to these tariffs than they were. Even worse for China is that Trump will use that country as a punching bag for its support towards Russia in the war, even though Trump will most likely be very amicable with Putin. Trump will be able to stir strong anti-China sentiment with sympathy towards Russia, and he can use this anti-China sentiment to get his followers, which is more than half of this country apparently, to endure what will happen to our economy if these tariffs and other trade punishments take place. Make matters even worse is that Trump is expected to name the biggest China hawk, Marco Rubio, as Secretary of State, meaning that Trump can point a branch of government to do everything in its power to destroy or dismantle China's diplomatic grasp on other countries. Senator Rubio also wants to punish Americans who invest in China, taking away the tax breaks of capital gains for any investment into that country. A millionaire, instead of just getting taxed 15 or 20% of the capital gains rate, they would get taxed 37%. So yeah, China's going to be in for a very rough ride.